Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We are continuing our deep dive into the madness that is this book. The perspectives of the radical feminists, the radfems, and what they deem the sexual revolution. It's important to dig through their ideas so that we can analyze them. And it may seem tedious to people who have the attention span of a goldfish, but for people who are seeking truth and care about fighting evil, they know someone's got to go in the trenches. Let's begin. Bismillah. She was going on about the nice girl and reputation and some other degenerate topics, but I don't think it's gonna hurt us if we just jump right back into where we were. I do not wish to waste any more of my one precious life than is strictly necessary, debunking the crypto-Darwinian pseudoscience that all women really want is to be held down and humped thoroughly until they stop lying about the pay gap and start making Christian babies. Again, start making Christian babies. She really resents heterosexual Christians and white Christians and heterosexual white Christian males. She wouldn't dare say black heterosexual Muslims or heterosexual Jews. She's greenlit, though, in America to openly promote racism and bigotry because she's gender queer and a liberal. So that should be noted. So when she mocks Christians having children, you can see her sort of anti-life perspective. It's the sort of disingenuous, discursive slime mold that only grows the more oxygen you feed it. So here she says, it's like if you attempt to debunk Christians, she contends that it'll just grow more. Sometimes that can do it. You can give attention to something and it can grow. But other times, it actually can make the cockroaches scurry back to where they belong. And by me going through her work, I'm actually helping to, I hope, inshallah, take the edge off of her blade. That's why the terms of engagement have to shift. That's why we need to talk more than ever. So now she just flips. Says now we need to talk. I don't get it. About agency, about consent, and yes, about desire. So, agency, consent, desire. Consent is very important, yes. Any man of decency doesn't believe that he can R-word his wife, or that he can force himself on his wife against her will when she has repeatedly said no. Now, there are some red pill Muslims and red pill Christians who think they can do that, but I would say decent men who are disciplined and have mercy and empathy for their wives won't do such a thing. And so, you can definitely teach your daughters that if that ever happens to them, file for divorce. Get the hell out of that relationship, red flag, restraining order, everything you need to do to get rid of that guy. And then agency. Women can propose in Islam, okay? And women can initiate intimacy with their husbands. It's just that we don't believe a woman should drunkenly proposition every man in the bar for a round out back. And yes, women can have desire. Islam doesn't shame women for having desire. Rather, it calls us to discipline it, not to let our hormones override us. Some time ago, I had a lover who could not get over his astonishment about how much I seemed to enjoy intimacy. Well, maybe that was like he had something to do with that. So now she's kind of bragging about how she's a nymphomaniac, which fades with age, usually. And if it doesn't fade with age, you become a creepy cougar, in my opinion. You really like this for its own sake, he said routinely every time And she says here he was surprised she enjoyed it. Now she's saying he was surprised she was surprised. I don't know if I want to go into this because she has no shame. Okay, we'll skip down to this part because I don't need to hear her loser boyfriend crap. This sort of surprise is often seasoned with disgust. After all, culture still teaches us that straight and bisexual women who actually pursue pleasure are somehow dirty, worthless, less valuable, less. It depends how you pursue that desire. So, if you're... Okay. A dog pursues a squirrel. If that stupid dog is not a hunting dog, and he drags his elderly owner through the mud, causes them to injure themselves, and the dog refuses to be obedient and know when to chase and when not to, that's a damn stupid dog, and you might have to get rid of it or put it down, okay? The good dog is the disciplined dog, such as the military German Shepherds, the sledding dogs of Alaska, the Huskies. They know when to stop and go. The dog where you can put a treat right on their mouth and you could say hold, and they hold, and then you like go, they eat it. A dog where they don't attack until you tell them to. Even if the criminal is waving things about, they know initiation. A dog that mauls a child because it can't control its desire to bite and pursue whatever flicks into its head is a dangerous animal that must be put down because it can't manage itself. It does whatever it wants and it hasn't been trained. When it comes to us women, we cannot just pursue every pleasure because it's not always safe. Once you close the door, masks come off. Once you're trapped in a room, in a car, with a man, you're in danger. You don't know if he's good or bad. You don't know what's at the end of the line. Okay? Letting your nose get you into every trap and situation is a problem. The story 1001 Nights book has some funny examples of this. But there are a lot of folk tales, right, where curiosity killed the cat. Just because it feels good, like, oh, he's so handsome. I bet you thousands of women pursued a pleasure, and then the guy turned out to be he R-worded them, or he drugged them, choked them, did something terrible to them. But he was super charismatic, highly manipulative, and was able to lure them into a dangerous situation. Because she couldn't control that desire, right? Controlling your desires and telling yourself no and not pursuing every flippant pleasure is the sign of wisdom, maturity, and it gives you a security mindset. You should be skeptical first. You could have intimacy with someone 10 times. You have no guarantee that the next time they'll flip. Nothing. How many people, they get married and things change slowly over time to something worse. This shows that people can become evil. So even if you've had pleasure with some loser you're hooking up with, doesn't mean it's always going to be safe. Good example, escorts. They could have a customer slowly become more and more creepy and demand more and more to the point where they become a stalker and he ends up taking her life, right? And throwing her over the yacht for fish food. Don't pursue every pleasure. Don't. You are worthless if you cannot discipline yourself. Those of worth are not tempted by every bait. They don't want to be filled with hooks. They don't want to be ensnared. A very valuable elk, a very juicy, plump deer, They see you, they try to run, right? A duck full of meat try to flies away when they see you. You have to be careful. The fish that doesn't bite every bait survives rather than letting its desires get it. If you've ever seen a mouse get trapped, you put the bait there, and the mouse, if it just, don't go for it, and then you watch all of a sudden snap, it's dead. It's intense. That mouse pursued its pleasure. It didn't think. That's something different about us humans. We have a certain consciousness that can say, is this the best choice for me? Should I do that? What are the pros and cons? We can be rational and pause. Our bodies are like urging for something. Doesn't mean we should go for it. Restraint, reining in pleasure, is safer than letting it run wild. Because when you finally find someone you love, if you haven't been used to reining in your pleasure, you're more likely to cheat and then cause your children to lose their father because you couldn't stop being such a hedonistic, ghastly animal. In a world where heterosexuality is flattened into a logic of dominance and ownership, okay, so she contends heterosexuals, they flatten intimacy, and they do it so in terms of dominance, ownership. Now, the way she phrases this is that the man controls the woman, he owns her. She completely ignores how women want to own their man. This is a key thing of how she kind of is a little tricky in her sophistry. Logic of dominance. A lot of women don't want a flamboyant, feminine, feckless, spineless, wormish husband. Okay? They like a nice body, a sound mind, okay? And somebody who they feel cares about them. When you care about somebody, there's this aura of ownership. There's this energy of, I am yours and you are mine. Till the end of my days. That can fall apart. And even if you're in a polygamous marriage, all the women have consented to being in that marriage, and that marriage is exclusivity. Okay? They have exclusive access to you. Ownership doesn't dictate in a way like, oh, I get to do whatever I want to you. No, it means you are claimed, you're off the market, which is good. Very good. So, remember how she words this. There's nothing attractive about a woman who owns her own desire. If she expresses that desire with the right man, he's gonna love it. I mean, hell, you got all these grifters who are pestering religious women to act like porn stars in their marriage. So they want the Madonna whore complex. They want a woman to act whorish with him, a freak in the sheets, but a clean lady in the streets. They want that virgin to be exclusive to them and to do anything and everything whenever they want. So they have no problem with her having desire, right? It's just that they don't want her to sleep with his boss, the brother, the guy down the street, the mailman, the cable guy. Most of the men who expressed surprise at my enthusiasm quickly found their own interests waning. Hold up. I think she just revealed herself here. Most of the men, so multiple partners, so high body count this woman has, expressed surprise at her enthusiasm. They quickly found their own interests waning. So they lost interest in her once they saw how freaky she was. We're getting more into her psychology. She seems to have been Remember how she mocked the nice girl earlier? Now we're seeing into her history. No wonder why she attacks the Christians so much, because the Christian girls who kept themselves pure and had children, she's mad at them because they're able to rein in their desires, whereas she's, you know, a never-ending spider with her legs open, and suddenly men find that out, and they're like imagining her probably getting folded into origami, and are like, you know what, I think I'll pass. If they didn't have to chase me, if I didn't play a little coy, if I got bored with the game of keeping them waiting until the third date because I was horny and busy, and dating is weird, and I'd always rather just go to bed and see if our bodies like each other. Oh my gosh, she exposed herself. The pattern continues. So, if they didn't have to chase me, so she just gave it up really easy. She said until the third date. That's how fast she is. If you've been a woman, you've made that mistake of going so fast, don't do it again. The longer you make a man wait, the more valuable you are. You waiting, making him marry you is the key to success. I see that now. We're not taught that by feminist liberals. See, this is so revealing, man. I'm going to put a highlight next to this section. If I didn't play a little coy. Okay. So coy is like, no, what do you want? Stop it. I'm doing a caricature. Just like, what? I don't know. Like, you can play and men like that. Okay? She said I was horny and busy. Masculine here. So like, you know, I'm hot. I got things to do. Let's just get it over with. Humpity humpity. Not wife material. Because she's not practicing caution. 3 freaking dates. You're letting dudes. You can get chlamydia. You can get gonorrhea, syphilis, AIDS. Okay? Some nasty herpes. She's risking that. Because she's busy. She's too busy to vet who she lets into her body. Okay? She's too busy to control her horniness, so she has a lack of impulse control. Okay? She's froggy with it. She's just like, you like me? You're good enough? Let's go. Risking pregnancy. Risking violence. Okay? Hooking up with dudes you've only known for 3 dates is quite dangerous. It's quite perilous. Come on. Reckless behavior. Reckless behavior. Dating is weird, she says. What kind of dating are you doing? You can go on elegant dates. Alright? You consent to the date. See, she's probably so lazy that the guy's like, let's go to Starbucks and have an awkward chat. No, you can say, I want to go out to a Wagyu steakhouse. I'd like to go to a museum of art. I would like to go to a garden center that has very beautiful plants on display. I'd like to go to the fair. Now, we as Muslims can't date, so it's quite different for us. But I'm talking about my years of American experience. For those still in their jahiliyyah, you don't have to go on creepy dates where you're like stuck in a car and you're like, you know, like, you don't have to make anything awkward. You can say, I would like to go to here, here, and here. And if the man doesn't want to take you there, don't go. You know, go where you feel safe, where you don't feel weird. You shouldn't feel weird on a date. You should feel like the person is courting you, and it's an opportunity for you both to open up and talk, because the goal of dating is to find someone you're going to marry. It's not just counting the clock until you get humped and then leave. You know, that's why we have so many STDs and so much abortion, is because women like her, they let anybody in real fast. And she says, I'd rather just go to bed and see if our bodies like each other. No, honey. It's not about your bodies liking each other. Okay? It's supposed to... See, she's disconnected and alienated from herself to where it's just the bodies coming together. That it's not a spiritual connection to where you are taking energy and giving energy and wanting to create life and bonding them to you and making them think about you and creating a experience where you are so unique that they will literally tell you how much they like it in the moment, or they'll be so entranced they won't even be able to mumble words. Okay? But she just says, because there's the mind there. Mature women who have been married, who've had children, recognize the mind is involved. There has to be something there. When it is just raw connection, that's what prostitutes do. That's what escorts do. That's why they need intoxicants. They need their mind not to focus on what's happening, but to be off in a dreamland while their body just focuses on the sensation. That is the most unhealthy way to operate, because it leads to self-loathing, hatred, and more disconnect from the body. Right? You could psychoanalyze this chick. She's tattletelling on herself. That's when I got my ticket to the friend zone, usually with a short speech about how different I was from other girls. So she's mad she got put in the friend zone for being a harlot, for being easy. She's easy. She's easy, and she has no shyness, and she overly shows her sluttiness and masks that as enthusiasm. I think men, they sometimes call that, like, here they say, oh, she's a bitch. What they mean by that is like, oh, you don't have to do anything fancy for her. You don't have to put effort. You simply, she's enthusiastic, she's easy, she's masculine, let her do it and then ditch her. Because she just said she likes to show enthusiasm, like, ooh, I'm so into it, yeah. Like, it's have a little bit of classiness. Have a little bit of finesse. Even if you are more dominant, there's so many fun ways where you can make your man feel like you weren't the one calling all the shots. Women forget that. But see, she's just getting friend-zoned. She can't retain a man. So remember when she was attacking marriage earlier? We're seeing why. She's admitting here that she didn't like a dominant man who she had to let him chase her, right? She didn't want to play coy. See how she says here that women who are enthusiastic are somehow dirty and worthless, and then she mentions here later that she got her ticket to the friend zone. She felt worthless because the men were like, oh boy, red flags on red flags. I am out of here. Bye, baby. And so she's resentfully writing books. Oh, my goodness. I have never understood what makes that a compliment. It's not a compliment, baby. It's just them letting you down softly. Softly. It's called they're sparing your feelings. Instead of calling you a ratchet, easy whore, they're like, I think we're just different. We have different interests. You're very different from other women, and I just think that we're not compatible. Like, a gentleman will let you down softly. Rude guys will just, like, ghost you, like, bye. Like, they don't even tell you what the problem was. She was given, some hints, gentle nudges that your behavior is very unbecoming and unpleasant, and that's why she attacks heterosexual men a lot and fetishizes the bisexuality, because women may not reject her as much, and with masculine butch lesbians there's a different dynamic than with masculine heterosexual males. There's a lot to say here. I'm not knocking the friend zone. It's an exciting place to visit. Nobody expects you to wear special underwear, and all the rides are free. All the rides are free, baby. All the rides are free. I want you just to think about that for a second. If it's free, it ain't worth much. If it's free, I don't want it. Nobody ever got something for free that had that kind of value that you wanted to keep it. Okay, like if you go and buy some books in a yard sale, it's free. I'm expecting some damage on them books, unless they're like super vintage and stuff like that. But if a car is for free, something's wrong with the transmission. They're gonna cost some money to repair. You see what I'm saying? If a dog is for free, I need to know the context. Why is this dog free? Oh, we're moving and we don't want to put him in the pound. You're like, okay, why don't you want to keep him? Whenever something is free, beware. Ugh. I mean, it's just a little bit strange, I'd argue. If you want to have something like that on your record. Like, she literally wants to brag about, she lets people ride for free. I mean, have some self-worth. See, you notice here, she said earlier that remember, who actually pursue pleasure are somehow dirty, worthless, less valuable, less. Well, if it's free, it couldn't be worthless. Do you see? We're learning about her psychology here. She's revealing herself. So if it's free, it's worth less because it has no price. You know? Buy one, get one free is a clearance sale. Get it out of here. It didn't sell on its own. We're not making investments on it anymore. There's no capital to be gained. We need to clear the shelves so that we can put in a product that'll actually make us some money, because it's taking up useless space. So she is somebody who appears to be taking up useless space. Okay? And that is quite bizarre. She said, wear special underwear. That's a weird complaint. So, you know, maybe she's grungy. She's grungy. Do you see? Ew. Imagine someone saying that they don't have to wear some nice undergarments for you and that they let everyone ride for free, and that she opens up by the third date. And then she's complaining about how there's ownership in a relationship. So she's hinting at an open marriage. Quite bizarre. Quite bizarre. Very strange woman. Okay? All rides are... Oh, she didn't say some rides. She said all rides. So even her friends ain't paying for that. So if she lets dudes in the friend zone get it for free, why should a guy who's not in the friend zone pay for something? As in, court her. She's literally devaluing her own self. She's complaining about people seeing her as worthless, as less, as dirty. She is dirty if she's saying she don't even want to wear special garments underneath, and that she lets people ride it for free who are just friends, no strings attached. Think about that. Why would you want to wife up someone who didn't have any standards and is unable to have impulse control and is not able to be patient? Why would you want to trust your child to be shepherded, to be guided by someone with that low level of morals? Now it explains even more why she attacks the Christians so much. It's really quite bizarre. Nobody has to continue any relationship they don't want to. Yeah, no one said you had to, right? She's just kind of grasping at straws at this point. I don't want to is reason enough. It just happens that my particular experience is studied with men who could only understand straight sexuality as a game of predator and prey. Well, honey, she's confessing like a diary here. She's so resentful towards straight men. See? My experience, straight men are so bad. Straight men are so bad. Predator and prey. Man, there's even examples in old cultures of the tribes. The horse that runs the fastest, that tries to get away from you the fastest, that's the harder to put a rope on. That's the one you want to conquer. That's the one who is going to let you boast a little bit of, like, I did that. The toughest, like if you're a rodeo guy You're gonna ride the baddest bull, right? He kicks everybody off. And you conquered it. You showed your skill level. Even in the film Avatar 2, Jake Sully rides that one beast. I don't know, looks like a raptor. And it's one of the toughest ones to get. And he got it. And that showed the rest of the clan that he's ready to be the leader. A woman that doesn't give it up as easy has more value. Because she resists shaitan. She fears Allah. She practiced discipline. And she didn't obey you in sinning. She's awesome. And now that I'm older and I've gotten more wiser, I see that as awesome. Whereas with the liberal feminist indoctrination in America, they teach you the opposite through like the music videos and whatnot, and then you learn the truth. You're like, the veil has been lifted. We now see clear that those who discipline themselves and fear and obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Yusuf, peace be upon him, in the Quran, they are the ones who are our leaders. They are the ones who deserve to be awarded. Right? Stating clearly what you want, whether or not you get it, complicates the standard narrative of straight sex where men are supposed to set the terms, to control both partners' pleasure, to dictate who feels what and when and why. Now, I don't know what kind of person she was with, but if you tell your significant other, I want this style, I want this position, as long as it's like consensual, sure. When can become a factor. Time scheduling when you have kids and whatnot. Why? I doubt many men ask why. Yeah. I don't know. If a woman's like, can you like kiss my ear or something? And he's not gonna be like, why? And if he does, just explain it. Yeah, I don't get it. She seems to be struggling with the fact that she gets friend-zoned and men don't respond well to her hyper open, flagrant sexuality, high body count, and how fast she is to give it up, and how she lets everybody ride it without having to invest in them. She needs a mom, man. There's just a pattern consistently with these weird people. The most radical feminists are disgruntled and resentful that they were duped into behaving in a certain way, and they double down instead of reforming and admitting their mistakes and trying to get other women to reform. They see some hypocrisy in men and think that that somehow means that they should not become better, and that they must then shift the standard of what a good woman is, thinking that just because they can shift the post from their perspective that men will then move to where they have put it. I'd say both men and women contribute to the standard, right? But you can't just set the post and be like, all women can just be open harlots and Jezebels, and we are going to have men who aren't devious come and court us. It's just not going to work that way. So, I don't know. May Allah guide us and protect us. I had a feeling, pattern after pattern. I've spent so much time in the minds now of these rad femmes. Because I'm just so curious as to how they get so lost. And, the more us Muslim women tackle them, we can help young sisters who are in other countries not fall for the same shenanigans. Because my generation, I'd say, and especially the ones being born now who have OnlyFans moms, we are going to show some fruit, right? And this is going to highlight the faults of that philosophy, of that agenda, of that perspective of the world. Very curious conversation. Very curious. If you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/Milahan archive.